Okay. One of the more attractive things that's happened over the years in Old Astoria is the use of Hallett's Cove for kayaking. But it's been disappeared for a while, primarily between the pandemic and the ferry entering that area. It just hasn't been happening. But we'd like to invite Ted Gruber, president of the Long Island City Boathouse. He's got some great news for the coming season. Ted, give us the great news.
Thanks, Richard. The great news is that the Long Island City Community Boathouse is back this year. COVID was a setback. Some of our core volunteers left town. I've been away for some time. I inherited an RV and spent some time seeing the country. But this year I'm back trying to beef it up to what it once was. Not long ago, we were bringing 30 boats on a Saturday to Hallett's Cove. I guess no one can see my slideshow yet, right?
No, not yet. Oh, here it comes. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know if everybody knows about us or what happens at Hallett's Cove. I made a couple of cue cards for myself. Who are we? Who we are, what we do, where we do it, for starters. We are the Long Island City Community Boathouse. That logo is shows the Queensboro Bridge, canoes, which we don't use too much, and kayaks, which we do. Our kayaks are a little different. They're mostly two-seaters, so that almost anybody can do it. But we're about putting people on the water in the neighborhood. Hallett's Cove is the primary spot because it's quiet, calm, safe. The ferry really wasn't a big setback. We coexist with boats in other places. But before the ferry, we used to use the entire cove. It was one of the best, probably the best spot in the city to turn people loose and let them have a fun with our boats. The presence of the ferry basically means we use half of the cove instead of the whole cove. We put out buoys to define the area where you're allowed to paddle and where you're not. The ferry comes and goes, brings a couple of waves. People are afraid of it until they experience it the first time. Then they look forward to the waves. The boats go up and over the waves like it's not a problem. Where do we do it? Like you said, Hallett's Cove is the spot that you're interested in. It's in your territory. The home base is 2 miles south of there at Annabelle Basin, is where we keep most of the boats, behind the Pepsi sign, near the Pepsi sign. But our regular program that we're famous for is at Socrates, Hallett's Cove. People think the boathouse is there. Let's get going with some pictures. That's not exactly what we do at Hallett's Cove. This is a group of people about to go on a river trip. Most of them are volunteers that have helped with the Hallett's Cove program. We do river trips to reward volunteers for working in the hot sun at Hallett's Cove. We also do river trips to raise funds. Sometimes we offer the free kayaking at Hallett's Cove. We occasionally charge for the cool trips to raise funds to pay our insurance bill, other expenses, repair and maintenance, new safety equipment, life jackets, radios and stuff. This picture was taken at the northern tip of Roosevelt Island. You see the Queensboro Bridge in the background, Manhattan on the right. Out of sight to the left, we're just west of Hallett's Cove. This is a particularly large group. Took a little bit of effort to get everybody to pose like that, but we run a tight ship. We stay close together on the river so that the ferry boats and the tugboats can easily see us and can easily avoid us. Staying close together is key. This is a picture at Hallett's Cove, near high tide, when the beach gets small. Up on the sidewalk on the left, you'll see our tent where you sign your waiver, register, get a hand stamp, then you line up for your turn to put on a life jacket and get seated in a boat. In the bottom right-hand corner, you do see one of our canoes. We'd like to bring more boats. We'd like to spend more time there. We'd like to run more dates. But how we do it is all volunteer run. Nobody gets paid. Everybody that does this work is a volunteer. And it takes 6 people to run Hallett's Cove minimally, 8 or 10 to run it correctly. With a dozen people, we can run it pretty big. Free kayaking sells itself. There's no shortage of people that want to stand in line and do free kayaking. I'm kind of hesitant to advertise more of that. What I want to advertise, what I want to stress is we're looking for volunteers. You don't have to go on a boat to volunteer. You don't have to be able to swim to run our waiver table or help out on the beach. Volunteers is the main message that I want to get out today so that we can grow the program. I'd love to see this happening every Saturday and Sunday for more hours than we do. But volunteers, that's the key. I have got a lot of pictures of serving the kids. This is what this meeting is all about. Some of these young people come with their parents, and the parents don't want to get in a boat. So a volunteer will take them for a ride. We don't put 2 minors in a boat. That's against our insurance policies. So in order to accommodate the youngsters, we need even more volunteers to take them for a spin. On the plus, if you're a volunteer doing that, you get to spend more time in a boat. You get a little more fresh air, sunshine, and exercise. How do we do it? This is some pictures of our paddles, boats, and life jackets, also known as PFDs, on the right side. We've got an awful lot of equipment. It doesn't get used 7 days a week. Volunteer with us and help us move in that direction. There you go. Cool river trips for volunteers. That's one of the best perks of helping out at Hallett's Cove. You get to go up and down the river. From Astoria or Long Island City, we'll get to Brooklyn Bridge Park in less than an hour and a half. Tide moves in our favor. We stop, we get ice cream, current stops moving. We look it up the night before. We know when the river's going to move, when it's going to stop, when it's going to turn back the other way. That's our secret to how we cover long distances with these slow kayaks. And then tide will bring us back another hour and a half. On a different day, when the current's running the opposite direction, we'll get to the South Bronx in the same hour and a half. Barretto Point Park is one of our favorite layover spots. We'll have a picnic lunch. Current will stop moving north, start moving south, and then we'll come back. Those 2 are basically half-day trips. One of our longest trips is the circumnavigation of Manhattan Island, 29 miles all the way around. That's the whole day, or sometimes we'll do it overnight. 11 hours, includes 3 long breaks in different places. There's a picture of our boats staying close together so that tugboat captain can easily see us, easily avoid us. That's inaccurate. Tugboats and ships don't avoid us. They go in the middle of the river where they go. It's our job to avoid those guys. Everybody smaller, though, will happily avoid us. Ferry boats, pleasure boats, jet skis. They see us, they avoid us. It's safer than you think. Here's the volunteers on a trip to the Bronx. That's I think that's the Drog's Neck or the Whitestone behind us before we went to City Island. So, yeah, my big message is, well, my small message is come out and enjoy the free kayaking. Make a donation if you can in the cookie jar. It's not a tip jar, it's a donation jar. And the bigger message is join the team if you can. We're about to reorder some of those pink t-shirts. I'd like to be able to give you one. This picture was taken just last week. Volunteers Bob and Beatrice wanted to show off the bridge, show off the tug and the barge. That is my last slide. You have my contact stuff. Please pass it around. We're not hard to find. licboathouse.org is right in front of you. That'll take you to my email address on the website. We're on Facebook too. I think that's about the entirety of it. I've got more pictures, but we don't have that much time.
Ted,
Yes,
great.
sir.
And it's great to have you guys back. Could you tell me what the restrictions are in terms of volunteering? Age restrictions, any kind of physical requirements, anything like that?
Good question. I'm not certain what the rules are for minors volunteering. That's top of my list to look into. Some of your earlier presenters talked about youth employment from 14 years old, 17 years old. Certainly 18 to 21-year-olds can pitch in. There's some heavy lifting. Those boats are 70 pounds. Two people move them. That's still 35 pounds apiece. We could use some athletes to help us bring the boats out in the morning and put them back at the end of the day. But the rest of the stuff is pretty easy. Helping people find a life jacket that fits, make sure they're wearing it correctly. That's not heavy lifting. Working the waiver table. I do want to investigate some of these youth employment opportunities. In some cases, they're funded. We might be able to get some help without laying out money. And if we do, maybe we can fundraise and budget for that. It takes a lot of people to run this program week in, week out. We do have the capability to do a whole lot more of it if we get the volunteer strength.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago too, you had a project too where we almost put a container, by Astoria House's promenade there, where you were going to do storage.
Right.
Fell through. It was going to be by the comfort station by 20.
Exactly. Yeah. That was talked about again and again. I don't know why that kind of thing never came to fruition. I just don't know. I've been away from it for some time. Look, the gate at Hallett's Cove, where you can walk from the sidewalk to the beach, it took us years to get that accomplished. Before that, we had this monstrosity of a staircase, looked like a lifeguard chair. You'd climb up the thing to climb down the thing to get to the beach. Eventually, the city of New York or Parks Department found a way to get that hole created and put a gate and some steps. So getting things like that done is a tall order. But yeah, that's one of our issues. We advocate for clean water. We advocate for access to it. And points of access like Hallett's Cove are very, very rare. The New York City Water Trail consists of roughly 50 locations, roughly 10 in each borough. That's not many. There aren't many places like Hallett's Cove, and of course, to store the equipment, that's even in smaller supply. We have a generous landlord. Blacksall Incorporated has been hosting our housing our stuff at no cost to us since from the beginning, which was roughly 18 years ago. And recently, we have a breakthrough with Socrates. Socrates allowed us a little bit of square footage to keep some equipment at Hallett's Cove, and we're grateful for that.
Great. Well, it's great to have you back. We had a couple questions here. Is there a crew team? No, I'm not sure what that. If you understand what he's asking.
I don't. It's the crew team is whoever shows up that day. You can. We do encourage you to sign up on the website. It's a little clunky, a little hard to figure out, but be persistent. Just fill out your name, put your email address, and we'll contact you. But if you just wake up on a Saturday morning and say, "I want to show up and help out," we won't send anybody away. Show up. Okay. Walk up to one of us and say, "I would like to help out," and we'll be happy to have you, even if you didn't register. That's not true on the Cool River trips. The Cool River trips, you do sign up in advance.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and stick around. By the way, the next presenter, who you well know, was actually quite a supporter, particularly trying to put together that storage unit. If you remember our prior councilman, Costa Constantinides, who
I
is
do.
now director of the Variety Boys and Girls Club, will be our final presenter for the evening. He's coming out now. So
I want to talk to Costa after class about using his pool for practice in wintertime.
we will see. Ted, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming and looking forward to seeing you this summer.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
Okay.